Ever feel like you need a compass and a map just to navigate family law?
Oh, absolutely.
We're diving into all that, especially when things get emotional.
Right.
We're going deep on family law mediation with Peter Hermes.
Yeah, a Los Angeles attorney who's all about finding peace, not just more courtroom battles.
So after 48 years in family law, he's like, okay, time for a change.
It's pretty incredible, right? He could easily just relax, enjoy the retirement, but instead he's like, how can I help families find better solutions, less fighting?
Like a legal peacemaker.
Exactly. And he brings serious experience to the table. We're talking decades of handling the toughest, most complex cases in LA, high profile stuff.
Okay, so not just some rookie mediator.
Not at all. This is someone who understands the law inside and out, but also the emotional toll it takes on families.
Makes sense. So how does this whole mediation thing work? I mean, most people picture lawyers, battling it out in court.
It's actually a lot more collaborative than you might think.
Okay, how so?
Imagine a neutral third party, someone not on either side, stepping in to help a family communicate better. That's mediation.
So guiding the conversation, helping them find some common ground.
Exactly. It's about really identifying those core issues and exploring solutions that work for everyone.
Hermes seems to really emphasize the whole neutral thing.
He does. He even puts it in all caps on his website.
So it's a big deal for him, but why? What's the big deal about neutrality?
It's about creating a safe space, free of judgment, where everyone feels heard and respected. In a courtroom, it's all about winning and losing. But with mediation, the goal is to find a solution that everyone can live with.
So less about pointing fingers, more about finding a way forward together.
Exactly. And Hermes' background, he's worked as both a court-appointed mediator and in private practice means he's seen it all.
Got it. So let's say you're facing a family law issue right now, trying to decide, okay, do I go the traditional litigation route or do I try mediation? What makes someone like Hermes stand out?
Well, besides the decades of experience, his reputation,
What do you mean?
he's known for his integrity. He handles these really delicate situations with sensitivity, and he connects with people on a human level, even when things are tough.
So he's not just a legal expert, but someone who genuinely wants to help families through a tough time.
Exactly. And he's committed to making mediation accessible.
Yeah.
He understands that families are often under financial strain, especially with a separation or divorce. His fees reflect that. He wants to make this process less burdensome than, say, traditional litigation.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So we've established Hermes is a pro at this whole human side of family law. But then there's the legal jargon.
Right. Even the basics can feel overwhelming.
Totally. So let's clear up some of that confusion for our listeners. Let's start with a basic one.
Hmm.
We hear divorce all the time, but what's the actual legal term in California?
It's dissolution of marriage.
Dissolution of marriage.
Yeah.
Sounds a lot more official.
It does, doesn't it?
Like ending a business partnership rather than, a love story.
Yeah, and California is a no-fault divorce state, unlike some other states.
No fault, meaning
You don't need to prove your spouse did something wrong to get a divorce.
interesting. So no dramatic reason needed?
Nope. The most common grounds for a dissolution are irreconcilable differences.
So if two people realize, hey, this isn't working, that's enough.
Basically, yes, but you or your spouse do need to have lived in California for at least 6 months and in the county where you're filing for 3 months.
So you can't just fly to California for a quickie dissolution.
Not quite. There are rules.
Okay.
And here's something really interesting. You can actually sidestep the whole courtroom drama if you can agree on the major issues.
Wait, so no court. Tell me more.
This is where mediation can be really effective. If you and your spouse can agree on things like property division, child custody, child support, you can finalize the divorce without ever going to court.
That sounds pretty appealing, actually.
It is for a lot of people.
Especially for those who want to keep their personal business private.
Exactly. Of course, it takes a lot of communication, a willingness to compromise.
Right.
But with a good mediator like Hermes guiding the process, couples can really take control and find solutions that work for them.
Now, I've heard this term thrown around, PDD. What is that?
The PDD.
Yeah.
That stands for Preliminary Declaration of Disclosure.
Okay.
It's required in California divorce cases,
Okay.
and it's all about financial transparency.
Okay. So, like, full disclosure.
Full disclosure, you lay all your financial cards on the table.
Yeah.
Income, assets, debts, everything.
No hiding the family jewels.
Exactly. The PDD helps make sure any agreements, especially about property or support, are based on a clear picture of the couple's finances.
Prevents those nasty surprises down the road.
Exactly. Transparency is key.
Right.
But things aren't always that simple, right? And that's where Hermes' expertise in these more emotional, complex situations really comes in.
So we're talking about cases that go beyond, like who gets the house and the fancy china.
Right. Things can get a lot more complicated.
Okay, like what? Give me an example.
Well, think about move away cases.
Move away.
Yeah, when one parent wants to relocate, maybe even to a different state or even internationally,
Wow. Okay.
those can be really tough.
I bet. Because it's not just about like packing boxes, right? You're talking about uprooting kids, maybe separating them from a parent.
Exactly. It's emotionally charged.
Yeah.
And that's where Hermes' experience is so valuable. He gets the legal stuff, but he also understands the emotional impact on everyone involved.
So he's not just looking at a map and saying, okay, well, this is how many miles away that is.
Right. He's thinking about the long term.
And then there are cases involving domestic violence.
Right. And those require a whole different approach, obviously.
Yeah. Because now you're talking about safety, making sure everyone feels safe.
Exactly. It's about creating that space where people feel comfortable enough to open up about what's really going on.
Which takes a lot of sensitivity.
Absolutely. And of course, Hermes knows all the legal aspects, the resources available to help families in those situations.
It's good to know that there's someone like him out there who can handle those really sensitive cases.
Definitely. Oh, and we can't forget about spousal tort actions.
Spousal. Tort. What is that?
Basically, it's when one spouse sues the other for damages.
Okay.
Like for what? It could be for emotional distress, financial manipulation, like if one spouse tries to hide assets during the divorce, or maybe sabotage the other's career.
Wow. Okay, so that's taking things to a whole other level.
Right. It definitely adds another layer of complexity.
He does. So
Yeah.
even in those really messy situations, Hermes is still all about finding a resolution.
Yes, he's always trying to find a way to help people move forward. But he also recognizes when the case might be better suited for traditional court proceedings.
So it's like he's always thinking a few steps ahead.
Exactly. Now, shifting gears a bit, we live in a digital world now, so does Hermes do, like, Zoom mediation?
Mediation in your pajamas.
Exactly. He's very tech savvy.
I love that.
He offers that option for people who want the convenience and flexibility.
That's fantastic. So he's found a way to blend that deep experience with a modern touch.
Absolutely. And, his commitment to families, it goes beyond his work as a mediator.
Oh, how so?
He's really passionate about supporting families in need, and that shows in the charitable work he does.
Like what?
Well, he's involved with this charity golf tournament.
A golf tournament. Okay.
It's called the Hula Classic.
Hula Classic.
It's a really fun event, and they raise money for some incredible organizations.
Like what?
Well, one is Break the Cycle. They work to prevent teen dating violence.
Oh, wow. That's so important.
And then there's the 1736 Family Crisis Center. They're a lifeline for families going through really tough situations.
It's great that he's using his platform to give back like that.
Right. And there's another organization he's passionate about, Haven House.
Haven House, yeah. I think I've heard of that.
They provide shelter and support for women and children who have experienced domestic violence.
Right, right.
It was actually the first shelter of its kind in the country.
Wow. That's amazing.
It is. And it really says a lot about him that he's so dedicated to these causes.
Yeah, it shows that this isn't just a job for him. It's something he truly cares about.
Exactly.
It's pretty inspiring, to see someone so committed to helping families, even when things are really tough.
It really is. And it reminds us of something that's easy to forget in all the legal stuff.
Yeah. What's that?
Family law. It's not just about paperwork and court dates, right? It's about real people, real emotions, real lives.
Absolutely. It's about finding a way to move on, even when things fall apart, and doing it with respect.
And that's where Hermes' approach really shines, that emphasis on neutrality, on creating a safe space for dialogue.
So it's less about fighting, more about understanding.
Exactly, because it allows families to get to the root of the conflict, not just the symptoms.
So instead of just going head to head, it's more about working together.
Right. And that can make a huge difference, not just for the couple, but for any kids involved.
Oh, absolutely. Because when families break down, it's the kids who often feel it the most.
Exactly. And mediation, it can help protect them a bit from that,
How so?
By offering a less combative, more understanding way to approach things, it keeps the focus on what's best for the kids, even as the family structure is changing.
So even though the marriage might be ending, the family itself can still find a way forward.
That's the goal.
That's a powerful message.
It is. It's about reframing things, you see. It's not just loss and division, it's transformation, new beginnings.
A message of hope.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that seems to be at the heart of what Hermes does.
Yeah. Helping families navigate those transitions,
Hmm.
heal old wounds, find a more peaceful future.
You got it.
Well said.
Yeah.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into family law mediation with Peter Hermes, any final thoughts for our listeners?
If you're facing a family law issue, any issue, divorce, custody, anything, just ask yourself one question. Could mediation offer a more constructive, more compassionate path forward, even in this tough situation?
That's a really good question. And, that question, it could be the first step towards a brighter chapter for a lot of families. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the world of family law mediation. And until next time, remember, knowledge is power, especially when it comes to shaping your own future.